The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Is some damn compassion too much to ask of certain police officers? A woman named Brianna Grier is dead after officers mishandled her arrest. She fell out of a deputy's unit while still handcuffed. She died after a 6-day in coma. Now, the newly released body cam shows how the deputies totally dropped the ball.
I'm not drunk. I haven't had anything to drink. Get on me. I ain't broke no law. I ain't broke no law. Get on me.
Grier was previously diagnosed with schizophrenia. She had been suffering from an episode when her family called for help. Tonight's panel handles these kinds of incidents in their line of work. They tell me this could have been handled another way.
Constable Smith, first let's begin with you. There's a lot to unpack here. Where did these deputies, if they did, where did they go wrong?
Well, I can only assess it from my standpoint. The basic thing that we learn, even in basic training, basic 101, what they should have done is made sure they secure the vehicle. Once they secure the vehicle, make sure no contrabands or anything like that. So because you're putting an inmate back there and you want to make sure no one else left contraband. And then once you do that, then you secure the inmate. You make sure that she's handcuffed properly, where it's not too tight on her. And then from that standpoint, they should have just made sure that she was in the seatbelt and she was secured in the seatbelt. Had they did all those things, we wouldn't have this conversation right now.
Chief Jimmy Evans, when you have someone who's dealing with a mental health crisis like this, how do you guys do it? And your assessment of what you have seen in the video released by the Georgia Bureau of Investigations?
Well, based on the evaluation and assessment by the deputies, one of the first things that we probably would have done in a case like that is to call and have EMS check by the location and allow EMS the opportunity to transport her. And if she's refusing or for some other reason, then we would transport her. But we would give EMS the opportunity to transport her before we would.
And is that a danger, Greg Dupree, of calling law enforcement if your family is having a mental health crisis? The family, I think, had at some point said they called an ambulance service, but deputies showed up this time. And I think they've used ambulances and law enforcement to address their daughter for quite some time, the mother and father.
Yeah, this video shows that there's an additional need for training for officers dealing with people with mental illnesses, but that doesn't negate the fact that when you watch this video, there was a complete lack of concern. I don't think the other two gentlemen alluded to that they didn't seem like to follow procedure, which is pretty much standard across the country when you talk about securing prisoners in the back seat, particularly those who have an indication of mental illness. I know in my entire career, I dealt with people with mental illness. And the one thing you wanted to do was make sure that they didn't flail around and start trying to kick your window out in the back of the car. So you made sure that they were secure before the vehicle starts rolling. But on top of that, one of the things that's most disturbing to me is the behavior of the officers or the deputies after she fell out of the car. He was actually patting her on the stomach like she was faking, asking her, come on, get up. The woman's just rolled out of a moving vehicle and fell out on the pavement. And you're acting like, well, it's not that serious. When I didn't see any indication that these guys immediately tried to render aid to her or tried to call for emergency medical services. So that's a big problem for me. And it just stresses the need for additional training.
In Hancock County, it appears to be a small community where they don't have the resources like we do here in Harris County, where they provide counselors or medical professionals to come out in a situation like this. Constable Smith, what would you do in this case in Waller County?
Well, I tell you what, we've been more sensitive to the person, especially if the person fell out the car, being more sensitive as we talked about earlier. You got to care about the person. If you care about the person, you're going to check them, make sure, you could get a pulse and all that. You're going to do all the basic things you need to do to make sure the person is still alive or whatever. you know, but it didn't seem like they was concerned. You many times in Waller County, we don't have the resources they have in the big cities, but there's a whole lot of things we do to make sure that the person that we transport in is safe. And those are things that basic common sense things. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that.
And Chief Evans, let's talk about Fort Bend County. How is it handled there if you don't have all the resources, say, a Harris County and Houston would have to send out medical personnel in a situation like this, or counselors?
Well, you know, also I've worked in Harris County, and out here in Fort Bend County, the response to people with mental health issues is similar. First thing we do is we'll let dispatch know and call for EMS. If they are not requesting EMS and we don't feel like EMS, we would have a CIT unit come out and do an assessment, and the CIT unit can also transfer. Those guys have additional training to the mandated T-code training to handle those type of situations.
And Chief, for those who are not familiar, what does CIT stand for?
Crisis Intervention Training.
Got it. And Greg, do you see a lawsuit? Obviously, Ben Crump is involved. He's been here on The Factor several times. Do you see a viable lawsuit in this case?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. You know, we watch, Isaiah, we have, I don't know how many shows when you bring up police incompetence. And all I can say is that these guys are making Ben Crump a very rich man. And then, you know, the first thing he's going to do is scour their policies to see what their policies are in regards to transporting prisoners. And I guarantee you they're going to have something written in there that says they're supposed to secure all prisoners, in this case, which they didn't. You know, I don't know how you leave with the door open. I mean, you think that's the last thing you want to do is make sure that the door was secured, even if you didn't secure the prisoner in the back of the car. You know, so it's definitely going to be a lawsuit coming out of this.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. We'll continue to follow this case and report the latest developments here on The Factor. Thank you all.